Alright guys, welcome to today's video. I got two major things going on. One, adapting and changing the sound of the Chaser. Two, retuning it both for more power and safety. Now that we fixed the fuel pump, it's running a little bit rich, which shows us there was an issue with the fuel pump wiring before. To dive into sound, you guys remember me talking about I wasn't super happy with the sound of the external gate, and here's why I think I wasn't super keen on it. If you look in a time crunch, the easiest way to orient them, we have one gate coming straight down here, and then one other one coming back. So although our main plan is to end up dumping them into the downpipe, which you would have no external gate sound, we kind of think that if they both follow the same path and like they're both in the same direction, you might get more of the smooth tone from the exhaust versus hearing the uneven pulses from the manifold.
Right, and then you got one pretty much bouncing off the ground and the other one kind of going, downwards, but it's going towards outside of the car.
So is the plan first to try to orient them and see if we can fix the sound by having them both oriented in the correct direction and then decide if we want to dump them?
Right.
Okay.
Or, looking at this, we could test the theory of both aiming towards the ground and make a cut right here and turn this pipe down so it aims straight at the ground.
But I think that's the one that doesn't sound good. I think that's the one that's echoing and sounding weird.
More, so it will be weird.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with length as well, right? Since this one's a bit longer versus this one that's straight down. And on top of that, because it's a divided manifold, you're hearing those like individual pulses. So I feel like in an ideal world, we would almost create like a Y to merge the two notes together, but we don't really have space, or that's a little overkill.
Right. Especially if we're gonna end up
dumping it anyway
into the exhaust.
Yep.
I think it's weird that it does sound strange like that. I know a lot of Supra guys that run twin gates, runs a similar setup like this, one in front of the cross member aiming down and the other one towards the back. So it is weird. I haven't heard the car in person, but judging by the videos, it doesn't sound good. So hopefully this is...
I was really, really happy with the sound of the actual exhaust, right? I was a little bit nervous going with a cast manifold on this car. I know what 2Js sound like with a tubular manifold. I have them on all my other cars. This one, I took a step outside of the norm. I love the exhaust note. It sounds like a 1J. It's just when the gates open that I'm not too stoked about it. So we know that the exhaust note sounds good. So as a backup, we can dump it in the exhaust, but we might as well play a little gate science before we do that.
Hey, watch your language. Yo, so I think it happened. I think I didn't tighten down that front wastegate completely, because when I went to loosen it, it seemed already a little loose. So hopefully it's just that, and then we could just tighten it and test and see. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's that simple. I was telling Mike, maybe I should remove it. Then I could confirm my hypothesis. Big word day today. I assembled everything on the bench and then I threw it in the car and didn't completely tighten them because I wanted to make sure that they were clocked the right way. And then it just probably skipped my head to double check that. So shit like that will happen. So always double check what you're doing. For this, the good thing about these wastegates and most of the B-vents, they have locking nuts, so the nut they couldn't back out, but it did create an exhaust leak. I relocated the V-vent so it's easier to access the bolt or the nut, tighten it back up, make sure the other one was fully tight, put the dump tube back on it. We're gonna test it now. It should fix the problem. It makes sense to what I heard on the video on why it sounded that bad.
All right, we got the Chaser out here. We're gonna see if the noise went away or not.
Yeah, we could tell right away. So
yeah,
we'll do ahead and see how it sounds, and we'll make a decision from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Judging by that, it sounds way better.
Oh yeah.
We'll do another hit and then
I think spicy. It is very spicy.
It takes a bit to turn on, but now with the fuel pump problem fixed and now the gates possibly were leaking, and the tune definitely needs a touch up. So But it sucks that I have one because then I want to do
Yeah.
most of the things that this has, and yeah. Good thing it's a stock too, Jay. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another little side project slash compound update going on for you guys. It's been a little bit inconvenient keeping cars all the way in the lift building when I do stay here, just because it's quite far away, and like when I don't go somewhere, I take the golf cart over there and then hop in the car. So we've been doing a little mini refresh to the actual home garage. I had a bunch of Swiss tracks laying around from the FD program since I'm not using them anymore. Look at how good they look in this space. Get some new LED lights in here, and this place will be looking beautiful. So the idea is keep the 2 porches here, and then Colette will have a car over here, and I'll have all the toys over here. But the space is coming along. Alright, so the game plan is Jamie is going to hop back on, and we're going to hopefully turn the boost up on this car later tonight. But before we do that, I want to do a quick log on its current setup and see if the fuel pressure is still dropping past 5,000 RPM. Obviously don't want to waste Jamie's time, and if he's going to hop on the computer, I'd rather know first if we did truly resolve the fuel pressure issue or not. But I think we did, because the car's been running a little bit more rich, and that would add up. Still have a fuel pressure issue. So pay attention to RPM and pay attention to my full pressure. During the pull, we go up, we hit 64 pounds. It should hold 64 pounds of fuel pressure since manifold pressure pretty much stays steady, but you'll see it starts to tank, and by the time that we get up to 6,900 RPM, we've lost almost 10 pounds of fuel pressure. Usually an indicator that you don't have enough fuel pump or that you have line that's too small because you're not able to supply enough demand. I'm pretty confident, because I've made much more power than this on a DW400, that we still have some sort of issue. So what we're gonna do, just to double check everything, we're just gonna put a new fuel pump in it. I'm like 99.9% confident this car's DW400 in it, but it is possible, since we've had this issue on this car forever, maybe it isn't a DW400 and maybe it was something else and someone got confused somewhere along the line. So to rule it out, we're gonna pop a new pump in it and see if the issue resolves itself. If not, I have a dual pump hanger coming, but I'd really like to figure this car out on its current setup to really understand the maximum limit of a DW400 intake pump. This car has always had this issue since like the past couple of years, if anything. And I remember having the same issue on the dyno with the 1J, which is why I'm thinking it's a mechanical issue, not just a limit of the pump. Sure enough, Johan went into investigating a little bit deeper, and I think he found the problem. Before you do that, let Johan just show what was going on.
Hold on.
Oh.
I took this pump off. It was just hanging like that, and you could say with the bend of the line, it was tight against that. And when I went to mock up the new one to figure out the orientation of the filter, the hose literally sat just like that. I pushed this in further before I put the new one on, which it looked better, but this is exactly how it was before. So that right there might create a problem where flow is not enough. It will probably try to build pressure, but then it doesn't have enough flow, which then technically will start doing what it's doing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have Sean cut this out to give us more room, bend it down so it meets the lines more. Just it has a more straight up approach, and then put it back in and figure out if we got a few pressure drops still.
Damn, Booth got CPs. What kind of compression you got going on in there?
8 to 1?
7 to 1?
Is that bad?
Yeah, bro. Horrible.
Piece of it's 9 to 1. Got some sweet max beating rods. Dude, these are rare right now.
I know.
Boys got the BC 625s.
They're rare for JCs, not for RVs.
Booth's about to make some power.
All the power, baby.
Yo, you got the basic ones? Why you didn't get the quarter bearing, bro?
Oh, okay.
So Booth is gonna make another extra 100 horsepower with this $3,000 plus.
Literally.
Yo, I hope you don't have any fuel pump issues. You're set.
Nope. That Hellcat pump works great.
You got a Hellcat motor?
Pump. Yo, I give up on this.
So I spoke on the phone with Deeshworks, and it does seem like we were reaching that upper limit of the DW400. There might have been a little bit more we could squeeze out of it, but after around 550 wheel, it does start to kind of run out because we're running E90. It requires a bit more fuel than if we were running pump E85, which is usually more like E70, E75. With that being said, we had a couple options. We could have potentially gotten the voltage up a little bit, done a voltage booster, or done a brushless pump, which probably would have netted us another 50 to 100 horsepower. But the end goal with this, I want to be able to make as much as the setup wants to make. So we decided we're going dual pump. And we'll show you kind of the little way that we're rigging it up, because getting a dual pump hanger, I ordered one like last week, hasn't even been shipped, so it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a quick thing. So we're gonna make our own.
So we got this ghetto dual pump hanger construction here. We added a bulkhead -6 bung, so it goes down. We put some nylon sleeving on the or washers on there to help prevent it from leaking. Then we ran a -6 fitting, 45 to the other pump, put it to the left side of the car, so the passenger the side of the car, because there's a bucket this sits in, and the bucket's like flat here, so you can't put another pump there. Ran the ground to the same ground as the other pump, but then ran the power wire through this. I drew a hole and then used rubber and nylon washers and O-rings, and then I put insulation on the threads where it's going to be close to the thread, the base, so it doesn't ground out. Now we're gonna slide in the car. Sean has been working on the other lines, and we're gonna take this off. Actually, I'm gonna just leave it here. Now that you moved it that far over with that, can you use the primer?
But I think the line is what's fighting.
The hole wasn't big enough for 2 pumps. We got the pumps in. One didn't go where we wanted. Colette wouldn't stick her hand in the hole. I tried with a camera and a pry bar. Didn't work. I'm not really thinking clearly. I've inhaled a lot of fuel at this point.
Tough times over here at LZMFG. So, for context here, this fuel pump is sitting in the correct spot. However, the one on the left, right there, is resting on the side of the bucket and needs to go in the bucket.
Right now. That's in. Yeah, they're in now. All it took.
There we go. All together.
All right, you can see on this one now, as we approach 7,000 RPM, now that we got a dual pump, before we were falling off to like 53 and all the way up to pretty much red line, which is like 7,200, we're holding 63 PSI fuel pressure. So no drop whatsoever. It made less power because it's more rich now. It's running like high 10s. That means we're safe to rev it higher and turn the boost up. Jamie's on here helping me. We're dialing it in. I was going crazy why the limiter is not like working right, and then I just realized I need to raise the RPM of the dyno since I raised the RPM of the car. Duh. I'm a happy boy. We wound up kind of starting to run out of gate around like 26, 27 pounds, but we were able to do exactly what I wanted. We made 520 foot-pounds of torque. The turbo did start to kind of roll over a little bit on itself, but if you compare it to where we were at before, we had a quite sizable gain from the last time we drove it. We have like another 80 foot-pounds of torque, and then peak power as well. We're making almost another 100 horsepower. So I think it'll be perfect. Given this car's traction limited, I just want to make cool noises and do rolling burnouts and stuff. And before we could only do rolling burnouts in first and second, but now I think it'll be good for rolling burnouts in third. And then like this extra amount of RPM up here is what I need to like make Dad's and Prius's ears bleed. So that's what I was aiming for, and I was a little disappointed when we could only go to 72. And you can't even see, it keeps going. We go to like 78 now. Could probably keep going more, but I don't want their ears to bleed too much. So I'm super happy. We're just letting the car cool off, and then we're gonna do a power pull because it's a little heat soaked right now because we've been going back to back to back. But thank you, Jamie Marsh. As always, I appreciate you always hopping on the dyno, whether it's remote or in person. He's a man, and he always comes through. And thank you, Mike, for filming, documenting the extravagance. I want to drive it, but I think I'm gonna wait probably until tomorrow for the next video, just because I want to fasten the fuel pumps a little bit more than they are right now. Just so they can kind of wiggle around a little bit, and I just want to be extra safe. We got safety set up, but we're gonna let this thing cool off, give it another rip, see what she makes. Wow!
That's pretty good.
Tune in next time for more.
It sucks that I have one because then I want to do most of the things that it has.